All right, and we're live.
Awesome.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome to any of those who have joined us so far. We are going to get started and do some introductions, but thank you so much for joining our virtual session this morning. My name is Elizabeth Lorenz, and I work in the Kearney Center for International Student Services here at Minnesota State University, Mankato. And I will let Beth introduce yourselves.
My name is Tressa and I am the transfer liaison with undergraduate admissions. I work primarily with domestic students, but I work a lot with transfer credits.
And my name is Jacqueline. I'm a student here and also one of the global ambassadors. And I'm also a transfer student, so that's why I'm here today.
So our objective today is to talk through the process for applying to Minnesota State University as a transfer applicant. And this is focused for undergraduate bachelor students. It's not focused on graduate transfers. So if you're a graduate transfer tuning in, this probably won't be the best session for you. You're still welcome to listen. But we want to talk through just the process of applying, how to transfer credits to the university if you decide to enroll and go through that process. And also just best tips and practices. And we also have our wonderful transfer student as well who's gone through this process and can share from her experience as well. But I think we'll wait a little bit and let a few more people join us.
Yeah, we don't have anyone yet.
Okay.
But this is Alyssa behind the scenes again. I was in the last video. Popped in for a minute, but yeah. Beth, you're going to Asia though next week, right?
I am. So for any students who are going to be in the Southeast Asia region, in the countries of Indonesia, Malaysia, Myanmar, Vietnam, I will be there from February 15th through March 8th for the Education USA fairs that are taking place there. If you are not familiar with Education USA, they provide free services for advising about how to apply to U.S. universities and colleges. And they also have really helpful tips for applying for the visas, how to take tests for university entrance exams such as the TOEFL, the IELTS, the SAT, ACT, GRE, all of those common exams that are required for university entrance. They also provide advising about writing personal essays and statements, applying for scholarships. So definitely check out the Education USA resources. And so they will be conducting a series of university fairs, again from February 15th through March 8th in the Southeast Asia region. So if you're there, please stop by and say hello. I would love to meet you.
Yeah. And Tressa's gonna just like jump in Beth's bag and go with.
Yes,
I would love to.
You are welcome to come.
I know. I would love to go to Seattle too and get those transfers.
Maybe next year.
Last time.
Yeah. Well,
Every time there's an opportunity.
that's what I was just gonna say.
Yes.
You might.
Every time there's an opportunity, John tries to snag it from me, and so.
Keep your calendar open for the first week of May.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am open that
Okay.
way, so.
You're like, I will clear my calendar.
Yeah. I can make that work. So.
Yeah. Well, I think it's maybe a little bit early in some places, and maybe some others will still be joining us, but this will be recorded, so maybe we can jump into the content, and we'll be sure to post the link online. So.
Perfect.
Awesome.
All right, so the first thing for any of you out there who have not submitted an application and are just exploring applying to Minnesota State University, we want to talk through the application process for transfer students. Now, every university in the U.S. has a little bit different admission process, so our process might look different from another university you are thinking of applying to. But on our campus, we have one application form for international undergraduate students. So whether you're a first-year student or a transfer student, the application form and most of the application process is pretty much the same. There's a few differences, and that's what we'll talk about. So when you're on our website looking for the application, you will apply as an international student. and select the Apply Now option and go through the online application. You will be prompted to create a username and a password, and that's something you'll want to remember because that will be your username and password for your entire time as a student at Minnesota State University. So we do not have a separate transfer application for international students. And that's the same if you are applying from outside of the United States and thinking of transferring, or applying from inside the US. Same application. So what happens when you're filling out the online application is you will get to a section called Education Background or Education History. This is where the application will change slightly based on how you answer the questions. So you're going to get questions about your education background from your high school or secondary education. You will need to put in your high school information, even if you're currently a university student, still put that in there. Then it will ask you if you have attended any college or university, and if you select yes, that's when the questions will start to change to get more information about your education background. It will then ask you for the name of the college and university you attended, the dates you have attended that school, and also the address and the location of that school. It's very important that you fill out that information as accurately as possible, because when we receive your application, that helps our admissions office know what types of transcripts to ask for from you for the application process. And so one of the common questions or comments that we get from students is they want to start the university in the US brand new. Even if they've attended a university before in the US or outside of the US, they don't want to transfer those credits, they just want to start fresh. So even if that's your goal, to just start as a first-year student, you still need to fill in the education background of your transfer university. That is because we need to have a complete history of your education background to ask for the transcripts and to make sure that you are academically admissible to the university. So again, even if you're not planning to transfer credits, still fill out your education background. As far as the types of documents that we accept for students transferring, if you are outside of the United States applying from a non-US college or university, we do accept official copies of your transcript. We recognize that a lot of universities maybe only give one transcript out per student and you don't get anything else beyond that. So make sure that you get those copies certified, and you can actually scan those into our university admissions office and we will accept those as authentic transcripts. It's a little bit different for students who are applying from within the US. The US policy requires, or our university policy requires official transcripts, which means the transcripts cannot be sent by the student. They need to be sent directly from the college or university. We do accept electronic official transcripts. A lot of colleges and universities are moving in that direction. So your school might be using Parchment or some other online software to submit official transcripts. That is fine. We also accept official transcripts that are coming in unopened mail or sealed envelopes from the university or college registrar's office or transcripts office. So you can send those by postal mail as well, but they do need to be certified official transcripts to be considered for admission. What is a transfer student? That's kind of a question too that oftentimes comes up. And we essentially consider any international student to be a transfer student if they've attended even one semester of a university or college. But with the application process, we have a slight difference in what we ask for your education documents, depending on how many credits you have taken or may be transferring to the university. So we will ask for your high school transcripts if you have less than 24 semester credits or 36 quarter credits or equivalent. So if you're coming in with maybe just one semester of university, there's a really good chance that you will still have to submit your high school transcripts in addition to your university or college transcripts. If you're transferring with more than 24 or semester credits or 36 quarter credits, then in most cases we will only ask for your university or your college transcripts, and your admission will be based off of those transcripts alone. At that point, we don't need to see your high school documents because we have a clear picture of your academic ability at the university and college level. Do you have anything to add to that, Keith?
Yeah, regarding transfer credits and the transcripts that we're requesting, we will transfer all credit that you transfer from in-state institutions from those official transcripts. And we will also award credit for anything that you transfer on an ECE or WES evaluation. So if you want credit for coursework that you took out of country, you will want to make sure to have an ECE or WES evaluation created. You can look on the internet, on the website for ECE to find out which credit or how much those credit evaluations are. We will really accept any credit evaluation from a NACES recommended evaluator, but ECE and WES are the most common, and a lot of science-based programs require that you have those documents as well. The price range can range from $160 to $180 US, and it depends on which evaluation service you're going through. Make sure though that when you are requesting those that you're requesting a course-by-course evaluation so that we can evaluate all of your individual international coursework. It is your choice whether or not you submit an ECE or WES evaluation to transfer your international coursework though. You do not need to transfer it if you do not wish to. I'm trying to think what else I should add to that. If you are transferring credits that are just for general education requirements, I don't know if you go in too much about our general education curriculum, but we have general education goal areas 1 through 10, and they cover different competencies across general education, everything from your English and your math and science to your social sciences, arts and humanities. And so these courses we kind of evaluate for credit and can place based on a course outline or a course description. A lot of times we can tell based on the course title as well. If you're transferring in credits though that are specific to the program that you are going into, you'll want to meet with your chair of your department to review those individual courses and course syllabi so they can determine if those courses meet the competencies for the program. Make sure to keep those syllabi, especially if you have them translated into U.S. Language, and then meet with the chair of the department and your academic advisor to make sure that your courses are being used to the fullest extent.
And that's something you can do when you come to campus
as
well, because sometimes, like Tressa was mentioning, the general education evaluation is pretty straightforward for our registrar's office to do before you get here. But sometimes when you take those specialized classes and you really want them to count towards your academic majors, such as, especially in the STEM fields and business programs, sometimes you need to have that conversation on campus to get those credits transferred. If it's
Oh, we're back.
Okay, cool.
That's like, yeah. That was kind of good. I actually wanted to ask Jackie what her experience was like bringing her credits here.
So I went to a community college, Foothill, California, and I did a transfer here with my roommate who took an associate degree. So for her, the process was easier to transfer all the credits because it was like already a degree. But for me, who choose to like transfer before I finished anything, it was kind of hard to transfer some of the classes. I missed a lot of my classes that I took. So what I want to say is like look over like the course syllabuses to make sure before you come here also so the classes kind of like match us, because otherwise it's going to be extra time, it's going to be extra money, and and I'm in STEM field, so it was a lot of those classes that I couldn't transfer. I had a problem with the professors that told me it's not the same, and there was a lot of like redo work. So make sure to look that up, and also like Tressa said, like save all the syllabuses and everything, and because that's gonna be important.
I think going off of that, a lot of students that I met with in Seattle last week talked about gen eds, like you were talking about. And they said that they've completed all their general education requirements at a community college. So how can they ensure, again, that those will come over and actually be counted here?
Yeah. So
I know you talked about that, but maybe in
Yeah.
a little bit more detail.
So make sure that you're having official transcripts sent from the institutions that you have attended in country. We want the most updated transcripts, so if you send a transcript while you're in progress with courses, you'll want to make sure to send another one at the end of the semester so that we can transfer those last semester courses and their grades. And also, if you're earning a degree, make sure that's also posted on the transcript, because a lot of times we will get transcripts before the degree has been posted, and so it's hard for us to know that you've earned that degree without it being noted on the transcript. If you come in with an associate's degree, we will consider that completion of our general education requirements. But there will be general education requirements that are required for your major, and every major looks a little different with what they require for general education. So those are the courses that you really need to have those conversations with your major department, the chair of the department, and your advisors, to make sure that the general education course you took meets the same general education competencies as are required for the program. Every program will be very different with how they will review courses and how they'll determine if it meets their requirements. So chemistry reviewed for one major will not look the same as chemistry reviewed for another. So just make sure that you're having those conversations with your advisors once you've transferred. Orientation is a good time to start that conversation, and bring those documents with you so that way they have something to look at and make sure that they're not sending you out to retrieve more documentation after the fact.
And one thing as well, every college at our university, we have several colleges that house our programs. For example, the College of Science, Engineering, and Technology. Each college is assigned a student relations coordinator that has basically a general knowledge of all of the academic programs and majors within that college. They can also be a very helpful resource for you before you even enroll. And so they do encourage students to reach out to them to ask questions about some of the transfer process, just for general information. They might not be able to answer everything before you get here, but they can at least help guide you about the transfer credit process, how to talk with your department, and then what orientation might look like as you're thinking about registering for classes during that first week of international orientation. And then also going back to the credential evaluation process, I do also want to emphasize that that is a third-party process. That's not something that's tied to the university. So when you send your transcripts in and have a course-by-course evaluation for non-US transcripts, that company has created policies about the curriculum from your home country and how that is equivalent to the US education system. So you may not always agree with the evaluation. Oftentimes students think that the courses they took should be valued at more credits than they maybe came in as. So any of those types of questions, it's best to work directly with the evaluation company. Our university, we take the recommendations of that evaluation company to make our transfer credit decision. So we don't have anything to do with the value that's assigned to your classes and how those transfer in. We just take the recommendation and we do the evaluation. So that's something I want to emphasize as well. All of the NACES members, that's the National Association of Credential Evaluation Services, NACES, all of those are certified within the US and some as well are in Canada. And so they have high professional standards of transfer evaluation. So they are the experts at international credential evaluation. So again, reach out to them if you have any questions or concerns about the process. What else about that? It's best to start early if you do want to transfer credits, especially if you're going through the credential evaluation process, because that process to get the evaluation back can take sometimes 2 to 4 weeks, depending on which company you go through. Then it has to be sent to the university, and then it's an additional 4 to 6 weeks in some cases to get that evaluation back. So it's not a quick process. So starting early is definitely best. Sometimes you get questions too from students who say, I only took maybe 2 classes at a university. Should I still go through an evaluation process? Ultimately, it's up to you. My suggestion is yes, because even if those 2 classes do transfer in, you are saving roughly $2,000 to $3,000 by paying for that credential evaluation. So if those credits are accepted and you paid, let's say $180 to get that evaluation done, you have maybe saved up to $3,000 and saved yourself having to take 2 additional classes at the university. So if you even think you might want to transfer credits, I highly recommend going through that process just to, again, save time and money.
Yes.
Yeah. One other thing. It'll come back.
Also, we have recently started accepting bachelor's degrees as well.
Correct.
So that you can transfer in an international bachelor's degree, and you'll be coming in then with a previous degree, and you'll be completing major requirements, including major general education if there's necessary there. But that can come in and count for your general education for the university as well.
Absolutely. For U.S. transfer students, Jacqueline made a really good point talking about how your roommate also transferred in, but she had an associate's degree.
Yeah.
You did not have an associate's degree. And that made a big difference
It did.
on the transfer credit
For
process.
the general education, it did.
I'm curious, how close were you to completing an associate degree?
About 1 quarter.
Okay.
Some courses then.
Okay.
And yeah, I was 1 quarter away from it. But I didn't want to stay this summer. I wanted to see the States, so I wasn't that patient, but it was worth it, honestly. So,
Yeah.
but it was a longer process for me, and once I got her to transfer all the credits and talk with the department about my chemistry classes and all of that, so they would transfer over because, it didn't do it.
And it just took longer?
It took longer.
Did those
but,
classes transfer over for the most part?
Probably like 8 of 10. So
Okay.
most classes transferred over. Yeah, they did. But what I want to recommend is like looking at like the school's bulletin here before you come and compare it to your university that you're attending right now, and start to like contact the department too and ask about it, just to make sure, because you can probably talk with your university that you're attending right now too, to make sure that the syllabuses and everything goes together.
Did you use any transfer software programs such as Transferology or anything before you came?
No.
Were you familiar with that?
No.
Okay, because that's one thing too. I know we still have the
Yeah.
Transferology set up, which is mainly for U.S.
Yes.
colleges and universities.
It is primarily for U.S. college and universities, and Transferology is great when you're looking up courses that have been evaluated by our university already. You can see if they're coming in for a certain gen ed requirement, or if they're coming in with a direct equivalent to a course that you might need in your major. All of that information is out on Transferology. The database is not complete, so if you get a maybe or a miss, it's likely that the course has not been evaluated yet and just needs to be reviewed by our registrar's office. Those would be good courses to check with not only the departments, but also the registrar's office as well for general education placement. And you really have to advocate for yourself. So look over your courses, make sure that you're asking those questions if you think that you're being placed into a course that you've already met those requirements. Don't be afraid to ask. The worst that you can get is an O, or that you need an additional course.
And there are options to appeal transfer decisions as well. So even if you get an evaluation back and you're like, no, I really think they missed something in this class is equivalent to this class, we have an appeal process on campus. So you can provide additional documentation such as the course descriptions, syllabus from your classes and advocate to get those credits transferred in. We can't guarantee that that will, be successful, but you definitely have that option as a student. And we want to make sure that you do get as many credits transferred in as possible to make that transition easier. So I know this sounds like kind of a daunting process because it can take some time. It's not always clean cut and straightforward as we would like it to be, but don't be intimidated. Just ask questions, and we are here to provide resources for you from the admissions office to the registrar's office to the international office. We'll be able to help you out, and your academic departments as well.
So Beth, like you said, this has kind of been a heavy topic.
Yes.
But it's very necessary. But can you share with some of the students the reasons that you like being here, like especially as an international transfer student? Why was it a good decision to come here?
So, first of all, the cultural contribution scholarship. That's great.
Money, money, money.
Yeah, it's all about the money. No, but like attending a college in California was really expensive, and moving here saved me a lot of money, even though I couldn't transfer some of my courses. And also, like, you get to see more if you do a transfer. And I would love to transfer again, but I like it here. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like Minnesota State. It's a great place. Honestly, it's so much. You can get help with everything, and like it sounds like it's a lot to do with a transfer here and now, but it was easy. It's a lot of like, you can get help by email. It's easy to follow the website, and it's an easy process. It's once you get here, it's easy to talk with the department and the resources to transfer the credits to. So yeah, it's not as heavy as it sounds. It's just a lot of information if you're not familiar with it. But I remember the process is easy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll share like a little bit of my background. I am an alumna of Minnesota State University as well, and I also transferred here from a different university in the United States. I'm not an international student, so I didn't have that piece to go through, but I do remember the transfer credit process as well, and not all of my credits transferred in, and I had to go to the department to get approval to have some credits transferred in. So I guess like a suggestion from that transfer student perspective is just take it a day at a time. The first step is just get admission. After that, you can start working on all the details one piece at a time. You might not have all of the answers that you want from day one after you get accepted to the university, but it is a process that you can go through over the next couple of months after you get accepted. And it does work out. We are here to help you, like Jacqueline said, like Tressa said. So we want to try to make the process as seamless as possible for you.
I was a transfer student myself, not an international student. I came from a community college in this state as well, and I completed an associate's degree before transferring. My transfer process was pretty smooth. I would say I only knew what questions to ask because I was an employee as well. And in that role, I realized how much we need to help navigate transfer students, to help them know what questions to ask and who to ask those questions to. So we're here for those resources, and we want to make sure that you're as successful as we were in navigating through the transfer process.
It's definitely possible.
Yes.
The first step is just applying. You can start working out things from there. Yeah.
Well, great. We don't have any questions today, but for those of you who do watch this later on in the recording, I'm sure everyone on this recording would be happy to answer questions over email. We'll share contact information on our admissions website, so you can look on there as well. But any last words of wisdom or motivation?
I was thinking about the deadlines to apply.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
So if you're transferring with any state, the deadline for fall semester is August 1st, and for spring semester, November 15th. And if you're transferring outside states, then it's more process if you want to evaluate your courses. So you should have a lot of time, but the deadline is June 15 for fall and October 15 for spring.
I would say if you're just interested in exploring, submit an application. We now have an application promo code, so it's free to apply to the university. So even if you're not sure that you want to apply or transfer yet, but you're just exploring, I would encourage you to still just submit that application because there's no loss to you. We have that application promo code, and you can just start the process and start getting more information from us if you go through that next step as well.
Yeah, don't get discouraged. Reach out for help when you need it. For sure. And we're excited to have you.
Yes, definitely. We want all of you here. Okay, well, I think that's it for today. Thank you all for coming and sharing your wisdom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.